Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe. So we're going to talk about some odd things about narcissists. Often narcissists will talk like it's opposite day. They will say, I don't want to be a liar. Uh, and they mean I'm supposed to say that, but they want to lie, but they know that they're not supposed to. So when you're dealing with them, you're like, they want to be honest. Or I don't want to cheat, but they want to cheat. They just don't want to be seen as a cheater. So it's really hard to get to know them. And they also future fake because they feel it's the right thing to say, yes, I'd love to have lunch with you next week, or of course I want to see you, or of course I'm going to marry you. All these kind of things that we take as reassurance or a direction of where a relationship is. So it's really hard to understand where we're really at with them. So when things are going their way, there aren't really too many issues, but if you also notice that looking back, hindsight is 2020, you start looking at some of the ways that they manipulate and we have to be cautious too on the way that we talk. We should express how we feel instead of telling somebody how they feel, because it can get really frustrating, throw the whole dynamics off if I'm like, you don't want to see me anymore, as opposed to asking, do you want to see me, or are we going to continue this? So we do it too. It's like a defense mechanism to where we're hurting, so we want to shut it down and put the blame. So we can do it too. Everybody is narcissistic in some way. It's like a coping mechanism. Uh, Throughout life, you get a lot of pain, but the narcissist, it's at a way deeper level to where it can get malicious sometimes, especially during times of stress. So it's not always just little idiosyncrasies within the communication, it's ongoing. And often it's for things that trigger them that are beyond our control because we don't even know what the issue is because of that false self that they presented us, that they're not a liar, they're not a cheater, they're religious, they're this, they're that, whatever it is. And it gets confusing, like, why would they do this if who they said they were really was who they were? So it starts to eat at us because we're trying to figure it out, we're trying to figure out the safe spot, we're trying to get back to when things were normal, and things were normal when everything was self-serving to the narcissist. So in the beginning, we're both enjoying things. They're giving because they want to like trap us or secure us. And they move quickly because they want to secure the supply. But over time, with that narcissistic cycle, they devalue something. And it's not until the person leaves or the end of the relationship that they start caring again, or if they're in fear of losing the person, but it's not an ongoing love or commitment. Just being in the same house with somebody doesn't mean it's a commitment, or just going through the motions doesn't mean it's a commitment or a love. So there's ups and downs in relationships, but the narcissist, it's over time, it's like that Chinese water torture. Over time, all their little pings on the devaluation, the cutting you down, the name calling, the making you feel uncomfortable or making you feel that you're not enough, it eats at you. And it starts feeling toxic. And that's why we start getting uncomfortable. We're trying to communicate through it to make it better, because we know it could be better if there was true love, to where you know and this is a thing too, because then they start seeing you as needy, and it's like a little small cut. If you have a little small cut, you just need a band-aid, not a big deal. But over time, if it gets infected and eventually it spreads, it infiltrates your body, and it gets to a point where you're like, yes, I need some attention now, I need this toxicity to go away. Just even like affirmation, like, yes, I do still love you, and do you need a hug right now? But if we have to say, will you hug me, or can you like we're not getting our cup filled, Sometimes we do, but we have to ask for it. So it's not the true emotion. We're missing out on that emotional exchange. You know, um, like right now, if I'm like, do you think I'm pretty? Like if I have to solicit it, if I have to ask for it, it's probably not really in your mind to say it, or love or whatever. Did I do a good job? Like that's me seeking validation as opposed to getting validation. So we get to the point where we start seeking, and that turns us into seeming needy to them. But if they would have just taken care of that little uh, pain that was caused in our relationship and put that, cleaned it up and let it heal, as opposed to letting it fester. Narcissists love to let things fester because they are so dismissive to us. And over time, it's just like an infection spreading. It just overtakes you. And we try to heal those little jabs by trying to set boundaries. Our boundaries aren't accepted. So now we're being bombarded by toxicity when we need to heal or we need to be respected. And sometimes that's all it takes is just a little respect for us to heal. It's not like we're these needy babies that can't cope, but we're trying to work through things. There's two people involved. And with a narcissistic relationship, it's one-sided. And that's when it starts to hurt because by us trying to get back to what we thought we had with the narcissist, we don't get healing time. We don't get the good communication. We don't get the ongoing validation that we used to get. So if they used to call us all the time, now they're not calling us. It seems odd, like something's off. Is the love dissipating? And we're like, what can we do? So we think if we're going to do something nice, that hopefully they'll enjoy it, they'll give back, and it gets rebalanced again. But the narcissist starts either just taking what we're giving, so we're missing out. We often are so starting to get really infected with the toxicity that we start focusing on ourselves too. Like, so we're trying to get validation from them, but they don't give it willingly. And even when we ask for it, sometimes they don't want to give it. And it's just this big mess. So the narcissist is going to do the same thing to the new supply. They're going to overlook the needs. They're going to take them for granted. It takes time for the new supply, just like it took us time to see that we were being taken advantage of, slowly devalued. I give an example, like when I was dieting, they had one last brownie and I'm like, no, it's okay. And then they were about to take the plate away. I was like, oh, wait, I want it. So it's like a quick thing of fear of missing out, that brownie is no longer going to be available. It's the only one left. Either take it now or I'm out. So the narcissist is kind of in that mindset where we're like they had the brownie in front of my face. I'm no. As soon as they were about to take it away, something clicked in. I'm like, I want it. And that's kind of where the narcissist is with people. If you're in a romantic relationship, they instantly are like, okay, I guess I do want it. But it's not a true want. It's not wanting to miss out on the supply, because if they really wanted it, just like if I really wanted that brownie, I would have taken it the second they gave it to me. I didn't really want it. I wanted to stick to my diet. So when they took it away, I was like, oh, fear of missing out. So that kind of explains the narcissist when you go through these relationships that they don't appreciate it till it's almost gone. And if that little analogy, I didn't want the brownie. I wanted something else. I wanted to stick to my diet. I didn't want it. I didn't want it. But the fear of missing out caused me to act. So the narcissist, they act on that fear of missing out. The fear of the supply being gone, whether it's somebody to take them to work or somebody to look good with or somebody to increase their status, or it's all self-serving. And that's the best way to describe it, is They only want it when it's about to go or if it's already gone. If they would have taken that brownie away, I'd probably have those cravings like, oh, why didn't I eat it? Why didn't I take it? It was the last brownie. But it wasn't the true desire that I had. It wasn't my desire at all. It was something with flash in front of my face. And the narcissist, the the decision gets flashed in front of their face, but it's not what's in their heart. And I hope that makes sense what I'm trying to explain, because the way they communicate, it is like, when they're like, oh, I don't care, whatever, I don't care. They really do care, but they're saying that they don't care. And it's hard to have a relationship like that because you have to use your judgment. You have to try to see what they really mean. And it can be exhausting when, they could just explain a little bit better. Things would go easier. But there's something inside them that shuts down, puts up walls, shows a different image. They talk about the grandiose from, being the golden child or always having to overachieve to be noticed, or at least to feel they had to overachieve to be noticed, or it just came easy and that's what became their identity. So, they say a lot of narcissists are good looking and they talk about pretty privilege. So that's why they're often concerned about looks, image, high quality items. It's interesting to see how many things are similar against narcissists. So whether they have the high quality things or not, that's what they want. And if they don't have it, they're either embarrassed about it or uncomfortable. Their identity is not them. Their identity is their car. Their identity is the brand of jeans they wear. Their identity is designer shoes. They're trying to find their identity, and they latch onto people who serve their needs. It's not a two-way street. And the part that drives you crazy is the way they communicate. They can hurt you and love you at the same time, where they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. And you're like, but like you keep doing it. Just a little jabs. They also are very negative in the things that they focus on. You can do everything right except one little thing, and that's what they'll notice. I gave the example of me cleaning, decorating the house for Christmas, making his special meal, cleaning up after it, having everything ready. And I was taking a break with our daughter. She was like a year and a half, 2 years old, went shopping all day. So I'm just relaxing with her. He comes home and he's pissed about the back bedroom, that it wasn't vacuumed, even though I vacuumed every day. I didn't get to it that night. It wasn't dirty. There's no animals in the house. And he didn't look, 'cause he even said, I was all excited walking up to the house, and then I noticed you didn't vacuum. And he's like, I could have made my own meal. And I'm like, you can't win. You can't win. They don't appreciate what you do. And you start walking on eggshells where everything, and that's the thing too, is like I was trying to spend time with our daughter, and that wasn't appreciated. That wasn't thought. Like there was no empathy for the daughter. There was no empathy for me for needing a break. It was all about him, all about the control. Like the house wasn't even dirty. And their mind just focuses on the negative. And then you start walking on eggshells. You start doing your checklist. Did I do this? Did I do that? Mine even, if you've watched Sleeping with the Enemy, calls me into the back bedroom and he's like, can you tell me why the toothpaste is stand-up toothpaste, why it's turned this way instead of this way? And my mind doesn't work that way. I wish it did a little bit more. Since him, I'm kind of a little more aware of that stuff, but to me, it doesn't really matter as much. But him, it was like everything had to be super, super organized. You couldn't just put a can of corn in the cabinet. It had to be turned the right way. and it was a little bit more uptight than like we also went over to one of his friends' house. The lady was like due to deliver. They had like a little house get together, but he went on top of her fridge and he's like, "Yep, I knew it." So the house was clean. They made lots of food for everybody. They invited us over. We're having a nice time. She was short. She probably couldn't see on top of the fridge. I'm 6'1". I can see on top of our fridge. He's tall too, but she's pregnant, shouldn't be climbing on things. And it looked like a day or two of dust. And that's what he focused on. So they focus on things to tear other people down. And if you're living with that person, it gets exhausting. And that's what the narcissist is going to do with the new supply, or it's going to happen again if you get back together with them. And they keep saying, you know, if the people get back together, it's going to be worse. It's going to be a shorter length of time that you guys are together because they've already discarded you. They're able to do that, or they feel that you're just going to take them back so they can push the limits. You know, and another thing that's interesting is if you were to get back together and there's somebody else in the picture too, like they're debating between you and a different new supply. They're gonna, it's weird how it works, but they're gonna see that you have forgiven them so they can come back. But this new supply, they don't know where that goes. Like if they fuck that person over, is that person gone forever? So they know you weren't gone forever. So they're going to focus on this. Just like the brownie, I focused on the brownie because I didn't know if I could have it. It wasn't what I wanted. So it's really interesting how their mind works. So a lot of us are trying to get a diagnosis for a person. Don't worry so much about the diagnosis. Worry about, was it healthy? Was it loving? Did their actions match their words? When they apologized, did they change things? They love to blame. They love to control. And with the rise in narcissism, I think that's another reason why we're really having a hard time coming to grips with, is this person a narcissist or not? Because it's almost becoming the norm in society. It's almost becoming the norm to where people are entitled, narcissistic, and coddled, and I just look at all the different things that we're doing in the school systems, the way that we're parenting, the financial strains, like everything that's going on. And people with a dog eat dog kind of mentality. Also, the other thing that's changing is the gender roles. Men had it a little easier in a sense that it was supposed to be, where all their needs were met, but there's really no mention about the female other than a nice house over her head and nice clothes, makeup, whatever. But it's changing, and there's more entitlement instead of fairness, I guess. Cooperation. When you start changing those gender roles, there has to be more cooperation because there are two people involved instead of two different roles. They're trying to be equal. So we're trying to be equal with each other. And sometimes it's easy to split something 50-50, but other times it's not. Other times certain things throw a mix into things. Like if you split up 50-50, you go to their family for Thanksgiving. This year you're going to your family, theirs, yours, theirs. It works out, right? But then there's something that somebody's sick in the ICU and you don't want to leave their side. And so they're like, it throws off the 50-50. And that's when it starts becoming a struggle. And the narcissist doesn't look past the agreement or whatever. They're into that black and white thinking, and they expect sometimes the wrong things. But comment below on some of the ways they talk to you, the crazy making things that you went through, because sometimes it was subtle. Also, the way that they made you walk on eggshells. And we'll talk more about that. So have a fantastic Thanksgiving that's coming up, usually around the holidays. A Hoover happens, whether it's to destroy your relationship, if you're with somebody else, or to check up on you, see what you're doing, or to back out of taking the kids, so it destroys your plans, or even just the get-togethers can be difficult with a narcissistic person because it causes stress, and stress causes them to act out. Also alcohol, drugs too, but there's usually festive drinking sometimes, so be cautious, be prepared, and enjoy the holiday. I'll see you soon.